Yo, what is up, guys? It's your boy Chance the Man back in the video. We're gonna be doing a tier list video. It's been about 2 months since I made the last one, and there's been quite a bit of balance changes. In my opinion, has changed on quite a few of the brawlers. So yeah, let's get right into it. So the first brawler we got right now is Shelly, which Shelly, uh, that's why I put her in B tier, but she's honestly kind of fallen off a bit, mainly because a lot of people have hypercharges now, which makes her not as good. I still think she's in the B tier. I think she's at the bottom of the B tier, only because her hypercharge is pretty useful, but that's about it. Now we got Barley, which, wow, Barley is actually a lot better. In fact, his hypercharge can be pretty lethal, and I think even like people have now seen like use cases in his gadget, his healing one, and I think Barley has become an actual threat, especially on certain maps. So I think he could see himself in the A tier. Now we got Brock, which Brock has absolutely fallen off in my opinion. His hypercharge was bad, and then they pretty much like buffed it, but it's still considered bad by most people. And I felt like with multiple marksmen having good supers and just overall better, they just have an overall better kit than Brock, and I just think he's probably honestly C tier. Now we have Bull, which honestly, Bull is not great. He's only good on a few heist maps, but besides that, you're pretty much not gonna see him anywhere. You might be able to see him in Brawl Ball, but he's mainly only heist, and I think he definitely is in the C tier. Now we have Colt, which Colt once again is only good in pretty much one game mode, which is heist. There's a lot better like sharpshooters, and to be fair, he just doesn't have the HP, and most people don't do really well with him. I just feel like there's just better options, like so many. And so he has to go to the C tier as well. Now we got Nita, which Nita with her hypercharge I feel like is absolutely insane. She's able to push back the enemies. She pretty much can shut down people that don't have piercing attacks, or like if it takes a long time to reload, if you don't do a lot of damage, you're just gonna get absolutely destroyed by Nita. I feel like Nita can be used in multiple different game modes. I feel like she has to be in the A tier. Now we have Poco, which Poco just got a hypercharge. I don't feel like it's amazing. It does add a little bit of value. He was already, in my opinion, in the A tier. He probably still stays in the A tier. So yeah, I'll probably put him right behind Nita. Now we have El Primo, which El Primo is okay. I feel like there's just a lot of better options than El Primo. And he did just get a hypercharge, but I don't feel like his hypercharge is amazing at all. In fact, I don't really know if it helped him out much. I feel like he is in the C tier, probably at the bottom. Now we have Rosa, which Rosa, I don't ever see Rosa anymore, and I feel like they're just way better hyperchargers. And even, I don't really see the map really favoring her at all. Like, sure, there's a few bushy maps, but some of her best maps I don't see too often in the competitive meta. And so for that, I probably honestly have to put her either at the bottom of B or C. I'll put her at the bottom of B. I might change my mind later, though. Now we have 8-Bit, which 8-Bit still doesn't have a hypercharge, but he has the damage, he has the HP, he has a decent range. He could always be a decent pick in heist, but that's really about all you're gonna see him there. But he is still a solid brawler, and I'm gonna put him in the B tier. Now we have Carl, which Carl I think is pretty dang good. Obviously, he does get countered by people that can stun him, basically just interrupting his super. He doesn't have a hypercharge. I feel like Carl is in the B tier, but he's definitely fallen down a bit just because without a hypercharge, more people getting hypercharges, he's definitely going to be lower down the list. Now we have Daryl, which last time I did a thing on Daryl. Daryl sucked. Well, with him now getting 2 supers, he's very good. Now, they did nerf his charge rate a bit, but I still feel like you have to put Daryl in the A tier. You can still make a lot of plays with him, and I feel like 2 supers, you can cover almost pretty much over half the map. I mean, he's so good. Now we have Dynamite, which Dynamite is a pretty decent brawler. His hypercharge can still be deadly. His stun gadget is really good. He's pretty decent on a few maps, a few modes as well. I'm probably going to put him, though, inside the B tier. right in front of Carl. Okay, now we got Gus, which Gus, I believe, did get some balance changes a while ago, which I think now he probably would be around the B tier, maybe even C tier. I'm pretty sure they actually buffed the damage of him, which has made him slightly better. So I think because of that, he's probably right in front of Shelly. Now we have Jackie, which Jackie was kind of the bottom of the B tier, and more people getting higher charges. I don't feel like she's completely fallen into the C tier, but she's not great. And so, like, I don't know, she's just kind of a mid brawler. There's a lot of brawlers that can do a better job of just being aggressive. So she's honestly probably above Rosa, but right there. Now we got Jessie, which Jessie, last time, people got mad because I didn't put her in the A tier, but I don't know. Jesse's hypercharge is pretty dang good, but I just don't feel like she is that carry. She's not a carry brawler, and yeah, you can get value out of her. I think she still is in the B tier. I just don't think you can pull off too much with her. Like, you can get a lot of high damage if they leave you alone, but if they can easily kill that super, and if they do, you're pretty much done for. Now I got Penny, which Penny is a lot better than before. Penny is she's really good now. They buffed her range, and honestly, 2 tiles, I was thinking, 2 tiles, nah. 2 tiles makes a world of difference. Also buffed her turret HP. She is now pretty dang good. In fact, I wouldn't put her in the A tier. She still needs a hypercharge, but top of the B tier, I think easily. Alright, now we have Rico, which Rico on certain maps is literally one of the most deadliest brawlers. In fact, his hypercharge is still really good, and there's not much you can really do. I mean, if you get a right map, if you get a right map, you're pretty much just gonna absolutely obliterate the opponents. He's in front of Barley. He's definitely in the A tier. Now we have Tick, which they actually buffed Tick's hypercharge rate, which I'm not gonna lie, that made him quite a bit better. I don't think it made him A tier better, but you can definitely keep aggressive brawlers away, and I feel like he is pretty dang strong and a brawler you do not want to get near. He's definitely in the B tier. Now we have Angelo, which Angelo is a great brawler. He's definitely one of the best sharpshooters in the game. I feel like his hypercharge still does take a while to charge up, but that doesn't really affect him too much, seeing as well he can pretty much go over water and whatever, and usually when you pop the super anyways, you're already in great position. And I think Angelo is probably around the A tier. Probably, like, right in front of Barley. Now we have Ash, which he's a tank. He really can't close the gap. And I feel like, for me, it's like no hypercharge, none of that stuff. And I just don't ever see him used. In fact, he's just not great. He's not a great brawler. He's going to be the first one in the D tier. I just feel like he can't do too much. Now we have B, which is another brawler without a hypercharge, which is just going to lower her down. I feel like there's so many better marksmen that it's almost like B's not a horrible brawler. It's just that there's so many better options at marksman. Why would you ever choose B? And for that, I'm just kind of like, she's in the B tier. Now we have Belle, which Belle, her hypercharge is pretty decent. Like, you're pretty much gonna always land your super, which is good. And I feel like she's always a safe option. Like, she has good range, she has good damage. People can't clump up. There's nothing really, when you pick her, it's not like, oh man, I think I made a bad pick. It's just like, it's a pretty safe pick. You can either have the bounce gadget, or if you know they have assassins, whatever, put down the bear trap, and you pretty much can close or make people not be able to close the gap on you. I think she's an A tier, but bottom of A tier for sure. Alright, now we have Barry, which I know Barry's received a few nerfs here and there. I still think Barry's good though. Like, on certain maps, Barry can just absolutely destroy, and I don't really know, like, much. He clearly doesn't have a hypercharge, but he still seems pretty good to me, and he's probably in the A tier. Now we have BB, which BB She's alright. I mean, on certain maps, you can get so much value with that hypercharge. You can pretty much team wipe, and if you team wipe in certain game modes like Brawl Ball, BB will literally can win you the whole game. I don't feel like she's always able to do that though, and sometimes she can struggle, especially if the map gets opened up. But I think because of her hypercharge and how useful it can be, sometimes she has to be in the B tier. Now we have Bo, which I love Bo, but I just feel like he's not great. No hypercharge against good players that can bait out a super. Both of his gadgets are horrible, and he does okay damage, but there's a lot of better options, and honestly, he's lacking. His kit's pretty bad, so I think he's going back in the D tier. Now we have Bonnie, which Bonnie's a pretty forgotten about brawler. In fact, I don't play as her too much. No hypercharge. I think she might have gone a balance change. I don't really know. I would put her in D tier, but I think I'm going to put her slightly in C tier just because I haven't played with her in a while, and I don't believe like she could be useful, but it has to probably be against throwers, honestly, for any use case. She's going to go inside the C tier. Now we have Colette, which I feel like Colette's still a decent option. She's definitely not the best option for Heist anymore. I feel like you always had to go Colette Heist, but I don't always feel like that anymore. Like, you can't really always go her in Heist, and there's better options. So for that, I think I'm going to honestly have to put her probably bottom of A tier. Now we have Edgar, which Edgar as like a last pick, sure, you can catch people off guard, but that's about it. There's way better assassins. Like, why would you ever go down to an Edgar? It pretty much is a last pick, because if you pick him first pick, you will literally go 0-20 with him. For that, I'm honestly going to have to put him in the C tier. Now we have Ims, which I feel like Ims is pretty good. She can shut down some aggressive brawlers, but once she runs out of gadgets, she is pretty much useless. That's pretty much how you counter her, is basically making her use her gadgets. Now against tanks, she can absolutely obliterate you. I feel like she still has a decent hypercharge, and I think we got to put her probably in the top of B tier. I don't feel like she is A tier anymore. Alright, now we have Frank, which Frank has received quite a bit of balance changes. I think Frank is still good. In fact, his hypercharge can get a lot of value, but Frank is nowhere near the top, and in fact, if you get a huge counter on Frank, you can pretty much shut down a Frank immediately. But if you don't counter a Frank, he is going to absolutely obliterate the whole lobby. He's going inside the A tier for me. Now we have Gale, and Gale just got a bunch of balance changes, and I feel like that really made Gale a lot worse than he usually is. Gale is not a horrible brawler by any means. It's just when he just got nerfed quite a bit, and I feel like that probably put him at the top of the B tier, right in front of Tick. Now we have Griff, which Griff is pretty dang good. He can definitely pump out a lot of damage. His super's quite valuable, but without a hypercharge, that's going to keep him out of the A tier. Like, unless they would have to buff him a lot just to get him in the A tier without a hypercharge. And so for that, I think we're going to have to put him in the B tier, probably in the mid right over here. Now we have Grom, which Grom did not, I don't believe, received any buffs. You can still dodge him. If you're really good, a Grom can be absolutely horrible, and there's just a lot of better throwers. Why would you ever use a Grom when there's just better throwers? I don't know. I'm going to put him in front of Bo and Ash. Now we have Hank, which Hank, he was looking like he was starting to get, better and better, but just no hypercharge. Again, I honestly feel like he's completely useless back. I think he's back in the F tier. He's just bad, no hypercharge. You can close the gap. He can't heal when he uses his attack. He's fundamentally just bad. Now we have Lori and Laurie, which Lori and Laurie have always been near the top, and it's not going to change because he does way too much damage. You can literally stop an assassin from getting near you. It's just absolutely broken. His biggest counters can't even counter him that easily. He has to be near the top of the A tier. Now we have Lola, which Lola, I feel like has fallen off a bit, mainly because a lot of people have been getting hypercharges. She doesn't have one. I know that they did actually buff her damage, so like honestly, she's still good enough to be in the B tier, but she's not gonna carry you by any means. Now we have Maisie, which they did just buff Maisie's damage. I don't know if that made her much better though. I clearly probably bumped her up a little bit, but I feel like it doesn't do enough for you to just choose her and be like, yeah, look at this. And I feel like Maisie has to be bottom of B tier. Now we have Mandy, which they had recently buffed Mandy, but I think there's some like glitches going on with her right now. I feel like she can be useful, but you're gonna have to find a really good spot just to stand still as a Mandy. I think she's in the B tier. Now we have Nani, which Nani received a hypercharge, and it's horrible. It's absolutely bad. I don't think it made her any better. I mean, in fact, you probably just want to use the hypercharge and then just try shooting people. I think she's still decent just because of her range, but her hypercharge bad. It didn't help her out, really. Now we have Pam, which Pam is kind of, she's definitely fallen off. She's never really been like top, but you can't really just go Pam unless you know you have like a really good matchup. Like if you're going to people that barely do any damage, then sure, because you're never gonna die. But Pam is just eh. Now we have Pearl, which Pearl is pretty dang good. She has a decent hypercharge. Well, nah, her hypercharge is her hypercharge is mid. Let's be honest, but she can really stop assassins from getting on her. And you know what? I've actually seen pros use her in the knockout. Sometimes even bounty. Like for the in-game knockout, she can be really good. But that's pretty much it. I mean, she does have like 2 modes you can somewhat use her in, but it has to be really map thing, and it really has to be. Oh, do they have assassins? Go Pearl. But if they don't, then don't really choose Pearl, to be honest. She's definitely in the B tier. Now we have Piper, which Piper is one of the best. No, actually, she is the best sharpshooter. She's not one of the best. She is the best. She does have a hypercharge. It's definitely, I mean, you could definitely get away pretty quickly. She does a lot of damage. She's pretty dang good. She's 100% a top 10 brawler in the game right now. And she is the sharpshooter you always want to choose. I think for that, she could be. I can't put her in S tier because I don't feel like you can go her and absolutely just carry. I mean, you might be able to, but I just feel like for right now, let's put her at the top of the A tier. And maybe we might boost her up a little bit. Now we have Sam, which Sam is pretty dang good. I wouldn't say he's the best in the game, but I would say Sam is good. Actually, nah, Sam's not good. He's only good with the right use and the right hands and maybe even the right map. I'm gonna put him in the C tier. He's gotta be in the C tier for me. Alright, now we have Stu, which Stu actually got buffed, and it was a small buff, but it was a buff that made Stu good. Stu had always been a mid brawler, and I feel like it really puts him near the top of the B tier, really at the top where he can compete. Now we have Buster, which Buster's a top 10 brawler. He has great utility. I mean, in fact, his gadget's really good. His super can push back. He's pretty much, I mean, unless they have a thrower, you're going to absolutely cook. And even if they do, you can still get him with a gadget if you catch him off guard. If you can catch you with off guard, you can absolutely shred anyone with Buster. He is in the A tier. Now you have Buzz, which Buzz is pretty solid. You can make a lot of plays with this hypercharge. In fact, you can literally just become like, I don't even know what to say. Like pretty much Tarzan at that point. Like swing, and yeah, if you love using your super, then well, you're gonna love playing as Buzz. He is in the A tier. Now we have Byron, which Byron, I'm not a big fan of Byron, but I know that Byron is good. He's a great support brawler. He's got pretty decent range. His super's pretty lethal. And in fact, he can be pretty deadly in certain comps. I think he is in the A tier and definitely a top 10 brawler. Now we have Charlie, which Charlie has completely fallen off. Charlie is not great besides her super, but if you don't have your super on you, you're going to get run down. She doesn't do a lot of damage. She's just clearly weak, and aggressive brawlers will have a heyday against her. She's only in the V tier because of her super, and she's definitely near the bottom of the B tier. Okay, now we got Chuck, which Chuck is really bad. Chuck is just bad. He's only good in one game mode, and if you have a brawler that does a lot of damage, Chuck can't do much. In fact, if you have a high damage comp, you just say, "Hey Chuck, I'm going to ignore you." And then you win the game. Chuck is in the D tier. Actually, no, I'll put Chuck in the C tier because he's good in one game mode, but besides that game mode, he's awful. Now we have Clancy, which Clancy did not receive any balance changes. I do like he is pretty dang good, but if you're able to keep your range, then he never really levels up. But if you feed him his levels, he's going to absolutely obliterate you. But as long as you keep your range, Clancy can't do much. But I feel like still, once he gets tier 3, he's going to absolutely obliterate everyone. He's definitely in the A tier. Now we have Doug, which Doug is awful. No hypercharge. He's bad. Everyone knows he's bad. He's in the F tier. We have Eve now, which Eve has not basically got any hypercharge. And she's okay on certain maps, but I feel like there's just a lot of better options. Yes, she can be used in certain game modes. And she definitely is a B tier brawler, but nothing flashy about Eve. Now we have Fang, which in my opinion, Fang is an alright brawler. His hypercharge can be pretty deadly, and if he's able to charge up his super, yeah, sure, he can absolutely obliterate people, but I don't feel like he is a brawler you're going to choose an absolutely hard carry. I mean, sure, in lower trophies, he's pretty deadly, but in the higher trophies, you can't do much as a Fang. He's honestly just in the B tier. Alright, now we have Gene, which Gene has been good for a while. He still is pretty good. His hypercharge is alright. He does quite a bit of damage, and if you get a good pull, you can pretty much change the entire game. So, Gene has to be in the A tier. Now we have Gray, which I feel like Gray is outclassed. I feel like he is an alright brawler, and sure, he can be useful in certain game modes like Knockout. But besides that, I just don't see Gray amazing. I mean, sure, his Walking Cane adds utility, but he lacks in quite a bit of things, and I just don't think he's a great brawler. I'll put him in the B tier. Now we have Janet, which Janet is bad. She lacks damage. Her super is alright if you're a gym carrier, but she just lacks a lot of things. And in fact, I feel like even her gadget's alright. She doesn't have a hypercharge. I feel like that has to put her in the D tier. Now we have Lily, which Lily has been nerfed quite a bit. And now there's definitely better assassins. Now Lily can still be a good option. I think she still is an A tier because she has a broken gadget. But she definitely has been toned down a bit and definitely not always a let's go choose her first type of choice. Now we have Lou, which Lou with his hypercharge super can be really deadly in hot zone, but you can't play him anywhere. He's a one game mode type brawler. And so for that, I think I have to put him near the bottom of the B tier. Right, yeah. Come on, there we go. Now we have Max, which Max was absolutely broken last time. She, I think, has been toned down quite a bit, but I think you can still go Max in certain areas and absolutely obliterate your opponents. I think she has to be probably bottom of A tier. She can still make a lot of plays with her hypercharge super, but she definitely is not the best. Okay, now we have Melody, which Melody is good, but I haven't seen Melody too much, and I can't remember if she did get nerfed or not. I just don't see her too often. I know her super can be really good. I know her Singing notes around her can do quite a bit. And she has decent damage, but she's definitely nowhere near the best. In fact, this might be a crazy ranking, but I'm honestly going to put her in the B tier. Now we have Miko, which I think if you know how to time against a Miko, you can pretty much shut him down. In fact, I feel like Miko is bad. Only on certain maps could you see any value, but honestly at this point, I think there are brawlers that just do way better than him, and yeah, I think you need to look the other way. Do not choose Miko. Now we have Mo, which Mo is a new brawler. He's absolutely broken. I mean, there's no other way around it. His super is way too good. There's nothing you can do. If you're a skilled player, there's nothing you can do against a Mo. I mean, absolutely insane. He is 100% the first S tier brawler, and easily. It's not even close. He easily is an S tier brawler. Now we have Mortis, which Mortis is really, really good. His hypercharge is so dang strong, and they finally nerfed it slightly, but I don't think it's killed Mortis. In fact, I could be wrong, but I honestly think Mortis is still an S tier brawler. If not an A tier brawler, I mean, you can get so much value with this hypercharge. You can team wipe, and team wiping deserves. I think he deserves an S tier. He is very strong. Now we have Mr. P, which Mr. P is bad. And in the competitive meta, he's just bad. He's just no hypercharge, and he just kind of lacks that firepower. I just feel like if you don't get the second bounce, he doesn't do a lot of damage. His turret's mid. He doesn't have the best range. He's definitely D tier. Okay, now we're going down to Otis, which Otis is, Otis can always be an option. I don't feel like he's the best, but he can shut down aggressive, hypercharged brawlers, which makes him super better. And I think only because of that, that's going to have to put him in the B tier, but he's definitely not the best. And he definitely cannot carry with an Otis. Now we have RT, which RT is good now because he obviously got whatever the gadget. He's a decent sharpshooter, no hypercharge, but I feel like you can use him in quite a bit of cases. I think, though, he is in the B tier, definitely top of the B tier. Here. All right, now we have Colonel Ross, which I just feel like he is so outclassed. No one really likes playing him, and I feel like there are just so many better support brawlers. He might honestly be the worst support brawler in the game. And no one really likes to play as him. You can't carry with him. He really is. I have to help carry that brawler. Well, only with the super. I mean, pretty much he's never going to be the star of the show, and I feel like he is C tier. Now we have Sprout, which Sprout is not the best brawler. He's not amazing, but inside certain maps, you can go Sprout, and you will absolutely dominate. And I feel like because of that, you can definitely put him in the B tier. Alright, now we have Squeak. With Squeak, his hypercharge is solid, but he also got a buff to his damage. And I think with those things, it makes him definitely top of the B tier. I mean, I don't see how he's not. His hypercharge decent. He has quite a bit of damage, and you could really shut down and control an area. I think he is in the B tier. Now we have Tara, which Tara, her recent hypercharge made her quite a bit better. In fact, there's no way you're missing the super, and when you can really get a great hypercharge super, you will completely shift the game. Sure, it might not be the easiest thing to charge, but once you have it, that one play can create a whole team wipe, and that can really just win or lose you the game. Just that one play right there, and I think that has to put her in the B tier. Now we have Willow, which Willow is alright. She's not really loved by the community. She does a decent amount of damage, but she is no way, shape, and form broken. Sure, you can waste a whole hypercharge, which is what makes her a B tier brawler, but that's as far as it goes for me. Probably down here in the B tier. Now we have Amber, which Amber is not absolutely horrible. I mean, sure, she still has a pretty decent gadget. You can definitely like destroy a lot of bushes with her super. And you know, she could be used in certain maps and modes, but I definitely think she is a B tier brawler. She's fallen off a bit in my opinion. Now we have Chester, which Chester is honestly a great option. With the 4 shots, you can definitely do a lot of damage. And also, like, no one knows what you have. No one knows what super you have. So you can just make a lot of great plays and no one will ever know. I think because of that, he's definitely an A tier brawler. Now we have Cordelius, which Cordelius has always been pretty dang solid. You can shut down a whole hypercharge, and also when he brings someone to the realm, it's a guaranteed kill. And even certain game modes like Gym Grab, you can absolutely one super win your team the game right there. I think he definitely is an A tier brawler. Now we have Crow, which Crow, I feel like besides the heist meta, he is a pretty bad brawler. But I think his hypercharge, yes, you can create great plays, but you're not always going to get the greatest value unless you're playing heist. If you play heist, you'll get amazing value, but that's about it. He is definitely a B tier brawler. Now we have Draco, which Draco has been toned down quite a bit. Now when you get that super, you can still create great value, but they've toned down that gadget. I feel like he can still absolutely obliterate you if you do not have high damage brawlers. But I still feel like he's definitely not the best now. He really is just a B tier brawler in my opinion. Now we have Kenji, which Kenji is absolutely broken. Kenji is very, very good. There's not much you can do, honestly. Like, you can play him in almost any map or mode. And his star power, like his shield thing, oh my goodness, he can just, like, pretty much all the damage you do to him just goes away. And he can just close the gap so easily. And you're just dead. And it's really hard to dodge a super. But I feel like as time goes on, you're going to be better at dodging it. And he will no longer be the best. Now we have Kit, which Kit is extremely annoying. But I feel like in the competitive meta, Kit is not the best brawler. In fact, I really haven't seen Kit too much. And I'm going to put him, honestly, in the A tier. They have nerfed him a bit. I think he's actually at the bottom of the A tier. Now we have Leon, which Leon has fallen off quite a bit. He's received a few nerfs, I know, quite a back. And he's alright. Yeah, you can make plays with him, but you can't just choose him unless you really have a great matchup. And I think because of that, he's a C tier brawler. Now we have Meg, which Meg just got nerfed again. I still feel like she can be really good. In fact, she probably is A tier just because she does a lot of damage. She still has quite a bit of HP. Sure, they nerfed it by 1,000, which clearly is going to make a difference, but I feel like she can still deal too much damage and has quite a bit of HP. There's not much you can really do. She's going to be A tier. Now we have Sandy, which I feel like Sandy has fallen off quite a bit. She's still a decent option, but I don't feel like she's the number one option. And I think because of that, Sandy is probably bottom A tier. Now we have Spike and Surge. Well, Spike, there's not really much. He's got just a B tier. His hypercharge isn't horrible. He has a good super, but he's definitely fallen off a bit. In the meta, he is 100%. Probably over here. Now we have Surge, which Surge is pretty solid. In fact, Surge is actually an S tier brawler. So yeah, we're going to put Surge up here. His hypercharge is really good, and you can make a lot of plays happen with him. I think we're going to switch a few things. I think we're going to put Daryl back up to the A tier. I put him up in the A tier. Sorry, not back up. I think we're going to lower down a few brawlers here. I feel like Rosa and Jackie belong in the C tier. Are there any other brawlers really? Actually, I feel like Colette's probably top of the B tier. Also feel like Buzz. No, actually, we'll put Buzz up there. But yeah, this is my finalized tier list. Sure, there could be a few brawlers that could be moved around here and there, but I think this is a pretty accurate. Obviously, the balance changes have recently just came out, so obviously I could have miscalculated a brawler. But I think this is a pretty fair and good tier list. If you guys enjoyed, like, subscribe, and let me know what other content you guys want to see. See you in the next video. Bye.